Too many buttons. Hey, and welcome to Thursday Night Live. You know, one day I'm going to play that music and I'm going to push the button and it's actually going to work right. So put out good energy for me. So today's topic is going to be about doers versus procrastinators and the dynamic between the two. So when we're talking about our personality, there's a lot that goes into us, including our life experiences, our programming, et cetera, that makes up who we are. But one aspect of that is, are we a doer / planner, or are we a procrastinator? So let me kind of set the stage. So people that are doers are very action oriented, and they might plan what's going on. They might organize what they're going to do. They might set goals and timelines to get things done. But there are also spontaneous doers who really don't have a plan, but they get this notion, hey, I should go do this. I should go mow the lawn. I should go clean my house, whatever the thing is. And they get this notion and they get up and do it. They do it. That's why they're called doers. And many times they have their eye on the prize and they will keep doing until they meet their objective, or at least a point in their objective where they feel comfortable stopping. Now, you guys have been listening to this show for a long time, and I'm going to guess that most of you have figured out that I'm a doer. I really am a doer, and I'm a planner. So like, for example, tomorrow, I already got my plan laid out for tomorrow. I'm going to touch up paint on the front door of the house. I'm going to clean the back porch. I'm going to urethane paint the original mailbox that was on this house. I'm going to load crap in the car because I'm almost done. So I have to get my materials out of the house and back to my house. And then when I get home, I'm going to mow the lawn. And it's so hot and so humid here right now that I'll probably crash on the sofa and not move for several hours in the air conditioning after that. So that's kind of what a doer does. They say, this needs to be done. This is my time period of getting it done, and they do it. Thus, again, the doer part. Procrastinators, on the other hand, they're just very different. They might have things that they need to do, but they just don't get them done. Many times it's very hard for them to get started. They'll delay tasks. They'll put things off on a very regular basis. Now, it doesn't mean that if there's something that they need to accomplish, like there's a deadline at work and I have to have this report done by the end of the week, that they don't get the report done. But they might wait till the 11th hour and do an all-nighter to achieve that goal. You know, and we all have times where we procrastinate. So I know for me, like having to do my taxes is a huge procrastination thing. Not that I wait till April 15th, but I really have to kind of work up the energy to sit down and do them. But now I have an accountant and I don't do them anymore. But I think they're all things that are unwanted tasks that we all have to do. And it is natural for most people, some people, to kind of put them off because you really don't want to do them. What I found interesting, well, and when you're putting things off all the time, when you're not getting things done, it can become a way of life, but it can become an issue because you're not getting anything done. what I found interesting when I was doing a little research on this topic was that if you look up like planners versus procrastinators or doers versus procrastinators, there's a couple of articles on that topic, and a couple of articles about planners as a personality type. But there are pages upon pages upon pages of articles about people that procrastinate. So just based on that, I'm going to make the assumption that procrastination is a bigger issue or a harder thing to change and can more negatively impact your life. I mean, for me, there's a handful of things that I really procrastinate, but it's not my way of life. So it's hard for me personally to really understand on a personal level, on a body level, what they're experiencing and what they're feeling. But one of the things that they talk about is, and some of the advice they give, is that people that procrastinate often have a lot of anxiety, or they might have a lot of confusion or a lot of uncertainty about the thing that they're trying to achieve. They let their own fears get in the way, which leads them to feeling frustrated or then feel guilty or full of stress for not getting the thing done, which I can totally see. And one of the things that I've noticed in my clients that tend to be procrastinators is that when they say, I'm going to do this, or I want to do this, and then they don't, and then their inner critic jumps in and barrages them with all kinds of negative commentary about, how they're worthless or whatever for not doing what they intended to do versus just going and doing it. Eckhart Tolle, in one of his books, and I don't remember which one it was, talks about doing tasks. And his commentary was, you can do tasks with joy, you can do tasks with enthusiasm, or you can do tasks with neutrality. I mean, you can do tasks with griping, like doing your taxes, you can do that griping. But if you can shift yourself and do it from a neutral place, it makes the task not be that bad. For a long time, I really did not like mowing my yard. And it's not my favorite thing to do. I'm much more willing to do it these days. But I decided to take on that mentality of, it needs to be done. I'm just going to go do it. And I'm just going to be in a neutral place and do it and not kind of whine every time I turn the lawnmower around. And after taking on that thought pattern, what I have come to find is that when I get the yard mow, I look at it and I feel like a sense of achievement and a sense of accomplishment and how good the yard looks mowed versus how it looked before I mowed it. So I know that that's a thing where just being neutral to the task and not taking it in on a neutral wavelength. But there was another thing that they talked about with regard to procrastinators. And this is that procrastinators, this is a biochemistry thing. This is some studies that were done, that procrastinators have a higher amygdala volume. And you're probably going, what the heck is an amygdala? Well, the amygdala is a portion of the brain that processes our fear and risk assessment. And so it is also responsible for individuals to have more fear and anxiety because their body is able to process more biochemicals. But one of the other sides of it is that when we complete a task, our body releases dopamine. And so, using my example, I mowed my yard, I'm looking at it going, wow, that looks really good. So apparently my body released some dopamine, which is the feel-good chemical, which makes you feel better about putting the energy out and putting the energy in. And so one of the suggestions that they made, especially if you're a procrastinator, is to do small tasks and multiple tasks in smaller segments so you can allow your body to release some dopamine into your body. And then this is a me thing, and then acknowledge the success. I cleaned off my kitchen table. I organized things on this shelf. Whatever it is, acknowledge the success, because it's some of the things that you can do to break this cycle. So in my book, all right, hang on. Dang, it was me all along. One of the things that I found very interesting, and actually for me, it was a game changer, but it applies to this topic as well. And so what I talk about has to do with more negative thinking and our stress response system. And so slow down, Rita. Okay. In our body, we have on the cells something that are called receptor sites. And so here's the cell, and there are these little locations all on the cell. And our hormones and on the cells, these receptor sites are like locks. And then there's our hormones like cortisol or dopamine or whatever that unlock the cell, and the cell metabolizes the hormone in one way or the other. It turns it on, it turns it off. We either feel good or we feel stressful. And so one of the things that I found the most fascinating and the most hopeful for anyone that has issues, especially when it starts connecting to hormones in the body, because dopamine is a hormone, serotonin is a hormone, is that when you are stuck in an old pattern, if you're stuck in an old stress response and you start to shift it, the body creates new cells every 120 days. And so when our body creates, I keep getting ahead of myself, I'm sorry. The body creates new cells every 120 days. And so as we are working to change who we are inside, we're doing a little task and we're releasing more dopamine. When the cells get recreated, the cell membrane where those receptor sites are will actually have more sites to receive the dopamine so you feel better, and less sites to receive the cortisol or other stress hormones. And so with practice and given some time, you can actually reprogram your body from the inside out. You can change your biology. The biggest thing is that you have to start. You have to pick a point and make the change. Sometimes just knowing this piece of information can really make a difference in taking on the task of changing who you are and changing your behavior and your programming so that you can live a happier life. Okay, so I've been kind of dissing on the procrastinators here for a bit, but I'm going to talk about the more the planners, not the spontaneous doers, but more the planner people in the doing pile, because they can also have their issues and they're not perfect. People that are hardcore planners can become rigid. It's like at 8 o'clock, I'm going to do this. And at 8:15, I'm going to go brush my teeth. And then at 8:30, I'm going to go get dressed. And at 8:45, and they have their whole life mapped out in a very structured way. But then if something happens that interferes with that structure, you have a plan that you're going to go out with your friends and you're going to meet up at 7:30. So that's the plan. But then at 6 o'clock, your kid doesn't feel good and they spoil your plan. Someone that is very rigid it's going to mess them up. Come on, let's be real. And it's going to make them feel resentful or some other kind of emotion and create stress within them, because this is what I planned and this is what I wanted, and now it's messed up. And so flexibility is really required, a certain amount of flexibility, and not as much attachment to the outcome. One last thing that I wanted to talk about regarding this topic is the very energetic nature of being a doer or a procrastinator. And that activity, doing or procrastinating, is really centered on the third chakra, which is the chakra that's located in the stomach area. And so many times, not always, but many times, people that are doers have they have a big third chakra, and they exude energy, and they will use their inner energy to get things done. Where people that are procrastinators tend to hold that energy back and are unwilling to use that natural ability that comes with each of our bodies in relationship to the world. And so whether you're a doer, planner, or whether you're a procrastinator, it really is important to balance out what's going on. But if you find yourself, or if you know which personality type you are, and if your mode and methodology is creating some kind of a problem for you, notice that, acknowledge it, and ask yourself, what can I do, or should I do to change this? And through that questioning, through that curiosity, magic can happen. Miracles can happen. Okay. So this episode was brought to you by soulhealer.com. And if you want to do a deeper dive into what's going on in your personality, please reach out to me and set up a time for a private consultation. It's also brought to you by the Institute of Applied Energetics. That's appliedenergeticsinstitute.com, where you can learn to become a medical intuitive like me, or an intuitive counselor like me, or a certified energy medicine practitioner like me. And you can start your journey by going to my website, appliedenergeticsinstitute.com, and downloading your Jumpstart guide. And it's Jumpstart Your Intuition, and it's loaded with exercises and information to start you down the road to opening yourself up to your intuition. Okay, so there are like tons of comments in the thing, and I am just going to go down. If you ask for a reading, I'm going to stop and give you a reading. If you're new to the show, and I hope that there are new people here, we've been getting people coming in from YouTube and Facebook. If you would like to get a reading, all you need to do is say, hey, Dr. Rita, you have really great hair today. I would like to get a reading, and give me a number between 1 and 3. And the number is the number of times I will shuffle the cards on your behalf, and I'll do the reading. But there is a long list, so if it takes me a minute to get down there, please be patient, because it takes some time. Okay? Okay, so let the games begin. And my number one fan today is Unar, and she says, greetings, Dr. Rita and fans. May I have a number 2, please? You can have a number 2, please, Unar. Okay. All right, that's your card for today. Okay, interesting. So, Unar, when this card comes up, there usually is, this is where I need to go, or this is the guidance that I'm getting, and there's usually a fairly clear direction going on, like you know what the heck is going on. When I look at your energy right now, and I'm not saying that this is a forever thing, but a today thing, the image you keep showing me is fog. Like, you know, you want to get over there, but it's not entirely clear what you need to do in order to do that. And so what they're suggesting for me to share with you is to just have that be okay. And don't get anxious, and don't get upset that there's not a lot of clarity. Okay. They're also suggesting that, and I've had this happen to myself, which is why I'm sharing it, and I'm sharing it this way. So sometimes the universe thinks it has a sense of humor, and it will turn off your primary way of receiving information, that, you know, the way that you use to guide your life, and turn it off, make it unintelligible, thus forcing you to have to use other senses as the guide. And I feel like you're kind of in a little period like that. I mean, I've been reading for people for years and years and years and years. And there have been times where, I mean, I'm very visual, you know, so I got nothing. I got nothing in my head. And it would force me to have to feel into the energy in order to have something to say, because, you know, like these people come to me for a session and I'm supposed to be doing something. And I'm feeling like you're in a cycle of that right now. Like you kind of know where you're supposed to be going, you know, so feel into it. I mean, that's what they keep suggesting. Just feel into it. And if it feels good, take a step forward. If it doesn't feel good, stop and wait. And use that as your guiding mechanism for right now until this clears up. Okay? And then Amy says, hi, Dr. Rita. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday, Amy. And Dot says, hello, Dr. Rita. I hope you feel great tonight. Could I please have a number 2 reading? You sure can, Don. And Don, you're here so early. Okay. And that's your card for today. Okay, Don, so this is a little weird to me, but I'm just going to say what I'm getting. And you and anyone else that I do a session for, if it's making sense to you, if it's hitting, please let me know. Fill in the details. Tell me all the dirt, because I like it. But what I'm feeling for you is that you had, I'm going to say kind of a light bulb moment. It wasn't really a light bulb moment, but something to that effect. That kind of like the clouds opened up and you got an insight, and I'm going to say an insight into yourself. And there's part of you that's going, is this really true? And there's some concern and confusion around that. And I'm going to say, yeah, it is really true. But what I feel like is that if you own it as truth, you're going to freak out and just have like all this negative stuff come in and negative thought come in. But don't let the negative come in. It's like, well, that's who you are, you know, and that's part of your life and that's part of your history. And, you know, if it's something that's broken, it needs to get fixed. And that's okay. But without the insight, you wouldn't even know that it was broken and that it needed fixing. And so now you have some information and a place where you can guide your energy to shifting yourself to being a better Don for the whole world. Okay. Stop it. Tell you what, they put these little things in here and now like blocks everything. All right. And then ERT Radio says, happy Thursday, Dr. Rita. Can I have a reading number 3, please? You sure can. All right, and that's your card for today. So, Don, I get the impression that there's some stuff that you are pondering. I feel like there's some decisions that you need to make for your, for yourself, about yourself. Um, I feel like, there's some anxiety around the decision. Um, okay, I'm going to share this. I feel like on a lot of levels, you've already made the decision, but it's not necessarily the decision that other people keep trying to throw in your face. And so if you need to close your eyes, go inside and figure out what your truth is and move everybody else's energy out of your space, because it does seem a little overloaded right now with other people's stuff. All right, ERRT Radio. And it's Master Player. Evening, a number 2, please. Thank you. You sure can, Master Player. Okay, and that's your card for today. So, Master Player, what you're sharing with me is I just am getting that you're feeling kind of tired. I feel like you feel that there are a lot of demands on you, around you. You keep sitting there kind of like going, whoosh, 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 go away. Like people are bugging you. I feel like one of the things that you need, and I say this to other people all the time on this show, is you need to go do something and have fun. You need to go have some Master Player time and shake off all the work and do some recharging of your banks so that you can regroup yourself. Because you just seem spent out, but it's not spent out doing your stuff. It's spent out doing everybody else's stuff. So, but it's Thursday and tomorrow's Friday, and you can do something fun this weekend, I hope. Okay. And Yvonne's here. Hey, Yvonne. She says, hi, Dr. Rita. Can I get a reading, please? Number 3. You sure can, Yvonne. I'll tell you what, it's like I shuffle these cards, and this is always on the freaking bottom. Not just that one. It like rotates through different ones, and trust me, I try to keep those on the bottom. All right, Yvonne, that's your card for today. Girl, you got some doom and gloom in your space today. And please correct me if I'm wrong, but I just feel like everything that you're looking at, potentially everything you're touching, is not working. The biggest message that I'm getting for you right now is that you need to wait. You need to clear out your energy. And this is just kind of a general comment to everybody. But, with everything going on in the world today, it is really hard to get things to move forward. It's just a hard energy. Yvonne, go find something else to do, even for a little while, so that you're not so laser focused on this thing and trying to accomplish this thing, because it's not, from a law of attraction point of view, it's not working. I mean, it's just not working. So just let it go, do something else, and then circle back to it, because it might be when you circle back to it, it wasn't really supposed to happen, or not happen in the way that you thought it was. All right. And then Amy. Hey, Miss Amy. May I have a reading number 3, please? Thank you. You're welcome, Amy. right, Amy, let's see what they got to say for you today. All right, that's your card. All right, this is a happy laugh. I'm not like laughing at you because you got some weird thing going on. I just get the impression that your energy right now is like, psh, screw everybody. I'm just going to do me, and I am going to have fun, and that's how it is. And I mean, I really feel like you have abdicated the role that you had been in. I feel like you have reduced your availability greatly. And you're just taking care of you. And I feel like it seems very freeing and happy and childlike and playful. And it's so nice to see. So good job, Amy. All right. And Veronica is in the house after missing several weeks. But anyway, and this goes to ERRT radio. So Veronica just had some surgery done, and I'm not going to go into any details. But if you all could just send her some prayers and healing energy, that her recovery is very quick. And the same with ERRT radio. ERRT radio, I know you've been having a number of health challenges. And so if everybody could just send some prayers or send some positive thoughts and energy to the two of them, to facilitate them feeling better, that would just be really great. Okay. Oh, Veronica wants reading number 1. Okay, Veronica, let's see. See, look, different one, bottom of the deck. Still bottom of the deck. All right, that's the card that came up for you today. Not really liking that one for you today. Okay, so I don't know if this has been an issue in the past. They're giving me a little warning. I don't know if you are still taking pain meds, or using some kind of drugs to address pain issues, but they're saying watch it, like be careful around that. You've seen too much negative come out of that, not necessarily in your own life, but in other people's lives. And they don't really want you to fall into that issue, into that category. But they're also suggesting that you maybe have a little bit of that personality type. So just be careful, be mindful of that whole situation, okay? But I want to pull another card for you just because. All right. All right. So this is the other card I pulled because I'm not liking that card, but it's a good warning. And they were pretty clear on that warning. Okay. So what they're sharing with me is that you are being given the opportunity to rewrite your life. You're being given a choice of whether you want to live with having your life be turbulent all the time or having it be more peaceful and serene. You are being given the opportunity to take the old you and leave it behind and kind of bury it in the sand and emerge as this new person. So I don't know if you've had that feeling, but if you've kind of had that notion in the back of your mind, I just want to validate that for you. I feel like, and I'm going to say with the surgery that you have an opportunity for some very new growth within yourself that would be in a very positive light. So good. Yay, I like that. See, I like that a lot better than the other one. Except be careful. Okay, let's see. ERT Radio says, I want this countdown clock. Well, I mean, the countdown clock is just a graphic, but the cool music, I hired somebody to write. So you can't have it. Veronica wants to know where Marco is. No clue. All right. Christine is here. She says, hello, beautiful. May I have a reading number 2, please? And you sure can. And as always, and I'll say it again, if what I'm sharing with you makes sense, if there's a piece of the story that you want to share with me and the people watching, I would love to hear what all is going on with you. And if it really is resonating and you want to be nice, and I'm going to click you off here a second, Christine, you could go over to the tip jar at soulhealer.com/live. That's soulhealer.com/live. And leave a little something in the tip jar, because that'll help me and it'll help me help you. Yay. Okay. All right. So Christine, where were you? There you are. Number 2. All right. So Christine, that's your card for today. So Christine, I get the impression that there's just been a lot going on in your world. I feel like whatever it was has finally ended. I'm feeling like you are moving into a period where nurturing yourself is something that's really important. Just to regroup. Who was I saying that to? I was saying it to Master Player. It's like when I look at your bank, your energy bank, it looks pretty depleted. And so spend some time nurturing yourself. And for you, I'm going to say maybe more than one weekend, maybe a little bit more extended period. And just putting what about me first, because nurturing yourself is what about me and what do I want and what do I need? And many of us, especially people that come to the show, tend to be givers and they give it all away. And, that would be a great topic, givers and takers. And when you give it all away, there's not anything left for yourself. And it's time for you to give something to yourself. Okay. Oh, ERRT Radio says your hair looks great. Thank you. I'm in Texas and it is so humid here right now that my hair it just does whatever it wants. So John Kassler says, help me. Okay, John. So I'm going to do a reading for you. You never know what comes up. Well, this is going to be kind of scary. Okay, then that's the card that came up for you. So John, when I sit there and I look at your energy, on the outside, you lead people to believe that you're okay and that you're happy and you're kind of cranky, kvetching kind of way. But when I look deeper inside, I just sense this emptiness, this hollowness in there. And I feel like you don't really know what to do to fill that void, other than work. And I feel like one of the things you're looking for is happiness, but don't really know how to go about achieving it. And I'm going to make this one comment, because I didn't write about it in this book. is that you don't find the joy in life. You don't find the blessings in life. It's always just one crappy thing to the next crappy thing. But where you find happiness is finding the good things, the happy things that happen, and holding on to those. And call me if you need me. I'm always here for you. You know that. Okay. Oh, and then go to the tip jar and leave me a tip. Veronica says, yes, you are a doer. All right. ERRT Radio says, H&R Blog told me I do not need to file anymore as long as I do not work. That makes sense. But don't you have to file tax returns if you're getting Social Security? I don't know. I haven't got that far. I mean, as far as like not potentially filing tax returns. Yvonne says, and you look marvelous. Thank you. Veronica says, your hair looks really cute. So this is kind of like the old Dr. Rita look. This was the look. When I'm kind of too old and gray to do this a whole lot. ERRT Radio says, when I go to the grocery store, I get a few select items and get out. I don't blame you. I've been doing delivery a lot. I like it here. Oh, Ashley. Hi, Ashley says, new here, would love a reading. So, Ashley, usually people give me a number between 1 and 3, and that's how many times I shuffle. I'm going to pick a number for you just to save time because there's finite time. I'm going to pick a number 2 for you. But thank you and welcome to the show. And I would love to hear how you found the show, whether it was from Facebook or YouTube or, I don't know, I post in so many places. Substack. We'd just love to know. All right. And when I said number 2, and I'm just shuffling away, but this is going to be your last shuffle. Okay, let's see. And that's your card for today. So, Ashley, I feel like you have made the decision. It's a pretty good word to put there. That you are going to really start looking inside. I feel like you've spent a lot of time looking outside of yourself for answers, but not necessarily digging inside yourself for answers. I feel like it's kind of a new adventure for you. I feel like it's kind of scary for you. I feel like you're not really sure you know what the hell you're doing, which is totally makes sense to me. But just stick with it because it's a marvelous adventure and wonderful insights that you'll get into and about yourself. I feel like your goal or something that has become more important to you is for you to be authentic, so the person you are on the inside is the person you are on the outside. And I think that that's a really great goal to have because that will propel you forward. So thank you for letting me read you and come back. And thank you for coming to the show. All right. Veronica says, oh, wow, never knew that. Not sure what that is. Mary says, stopped to say hi. Really busy tonight. Hi, Mary. Thank you for stopping by. And I hope you weren't so busy. Okay. ERRT Radio said, great topic tonight. Thank you, Dr. Rita. And I just want to share with all of you, if there's a topic that you would like for me to cover, leave a message, not in this chat thing, but on my YouTube page or email me at soulhealer.com. Go on that page, or reach out to me on Facebook and leave me a topic. I mean, I've gotten some great topics from people from the show. But I am going to do givers and takers because that's a good one. Very different from planners and procrastinators, although there is a certain amount of overlap with those. But you'll find out when I do it. Okay, Amy says, I think doers focus on the end state of the goal while procrastinators focus on the work to get there. Right. And I think a lot of people that procrastinate have like performance anxiety. So if I do this, it's not going to work out good, or they get overwhelmed with the project instead of saying, I am going to do this one thing. I am going to empty out one drawer tonight. I am going to clear off half of this shelf. I have a pretty big yard, and I have an electric lawnmower, which only mows for about an hour. Now I could mow my yard in 2 charges in one day, but I do it in 3 because I do the very back part, which is pretty much a whole battery. Then I do the finish of the back part and the part right behind my house. And then I do the front of the house. So I break it up into 3 parts because it makes it seem more achievable and less overwhelming to me. Ashley, hi Rita, you have nice hair, number 3. So Ashley, are you the person I just did? I did. So I'm sorry I gave you a 2. I wasn't sure if you were going to get in there. So Veronica says, Rita has trained us to like her hair. Even if it's bad hair and I'm having a bad hair day. And then Ohora, hey Ohora, hello dear Dr. Rita, may I have a reading please, number 3? Thank you very much and cheers to you. You sure can, Unar, number 3. All right, Unar, and that's your card for today. Not Unar, Ohora. What? Ohora, I get the feeling it's like something kind of blew up around you. It wasn't you that blew up, but something else blew up, and you are just trying to get away from the toxicness and the toxic energy of the whole thing. I feel like there isn't really any place for you to go. So you're just kind of sitting through it and trying to have it be palatable. Here's one. Okay, so if this is a work-related thing, here's something you can do. It's a little hard to do this at home, although you can do it like on your bedroom. But at work, this works great. So I would like for you to, wherever the entrance to your little work area is, whether it's a cubicle or a door, I want you to take like a business card and draw something on it. So I'm just going to make some little funky pattern on here. And I like using colors. All right, so I made this little funky pattern, but on the back of a business card, and then tape that to the entryway of the cubicle, office, or whatever, and use that as a point to anchor your energy, because you can make like a diameter or a radius to it and then create a bubble around you and have that become your space. If you're actually in a physical room like a bedroom or an office, take your aura and have it fill that space, or fill that space with your light, not necessarily your aura, but your light, so that nothing can get in it. Kind of like the Iron Dome. They can shoot all kinds of crap at you, but it's not going to get through. Okay? So try that. And then report back to how that worked. And then Unar says, holy cow, Dr. Rita, you are so right on. Thanks so much. You totally touched me. Thank you. Nancy. Hey, Nancy. How are you? Okay, there's a couple of minutes left, so if you're really fast, I can get you in for a reading. Then Dawn says, yes, you are right on about some info I got from a past friend about my first ex. It's too long to explain here. Thank you. Well, thank you, Dawn, but you're holding up. You're holding up. And so own that and honor that, because if that you had gotten that same bit of information a few years ago, you would have been in a totally funk, dark, where's my knife? I'm going to go kill a bitch kind of energy. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway. ERRT Radio, Dr. Rita Louise, Dr. Rita, right on. The Red Thread 39. Hi, Red Thread 39. Can I get a reading, please? You sure can. New subscriber. Well, hi, new subscriber, and I appreciate you coming here. So usually when people get a reading, but they give me a number from 1 to 3. I am going to pick a number 2 for you tonight. But next time, pick a number from 1 to 3, and that's how many times I will shuffle the cards. And please, in the comments below, if you could put where you found the show, whether it was YouTube, Facebook, Substack, wherever you found the show and came from. Awake Nation, I would just really appreciate to hear that. All right, and that's your card for today. So Red Thread, the first thing that you're showing me is I feel like you are feeling a little bit stuck. If I kind of go back in time, I feel like, I don't mean like your childhood, but fairly recently, like you went through a bunch of crap. And I feel like you're still coming out of that and still recovering from that. I feel like where you were before to where you are now, you have really come up from being underwater. I don't know if this is something that you can do, but perhaps a good thing would be to start thinking about, well, what do I want to do and where do I want to go? And putting those plans out there, putting those ideas out there. Don't beat yourself up. I talked about doers and procrastinators, and I don't get that you're a procrastinator. I feel like you have wounding going on that is just really messing with your energy. But put some things on the table and give yourself permission to do them, but also give yourself permission to not. But not putting anything on the table, I feel, is bothering you as well. So try it, play with it, but give yourself space to not be 100%. I guess that's the most important part. All righty. Master Player says, the summary of tonight as told by Rita. Thank you once again, and great hair tonight. Thank you. Unar says, Dr. Rita's on fire tonight. Thank you, Unar. Yvonne says, yes, that's how I feel. Okay, so go with it, Yvonne. Kristen, hi, Kristen. You look like a new person. ERRT Radio says, thanks, Dr. Rita. And Kristen said, healing sense. So to Veronica, she sent some healing. Unar says, sending good vibes out to all Dr. Rita fans. And then Kirsten says, may I have a card reading, please, and thanks. And so, Kirsten, I'm going to do a number 3 for you. See, bottom of the deck. You would think that this deck just only had those mass cards in it. But see, different one, bottom of the deck. But see, I'm protecting you. I'm keeping them all at the bottom. So when they do come up, it's like, wow, how did that get there? Okay, so Kirsten, that's the card that came up for you. Kind of curious. Okay, interesting. I was a little concerned about this card, but actually there's a very nice and interesting twist to this. So, Kirsten, what you're showing me is that you've been exploring some new areas, and I'm going to say of creativity, of expression. I feel like you're fairly new in this process, or new in maybe putting it out for people to see. I'm not really sure how that part fits in. I feel the biggest thing that you're noticing is this level of self-consciousness, and uncertainty as to whether it's any good, whether anybody's going to like it. Um, my usual thing is say, screw them and just do it anyway. And again, screw them and just do it anyway. As they say, some people do, some people don't, and move on. I feel like the biggest challenge is your uncertainty and the fear that is tied to it. And so acknowledge the fear, acknowledge the uncertainty, acknowledge that self-consciousness, because that's the part that is stalling you out and keeping you from really moving forward with gusto. And I feel like you want to move forward with this thing with gusto. So just do it and screw them. Veronica says, thank you, very helpful about pain meds. Good, Veronica, glad I could share that. And then said, thanks for both cards. Must think on second one. Okay. And then Amy says, where'd you go? Stop it. Thanks for the reading and the giggling. It is very freeing, being my own best friend. Yay, Amy, you have a best friend. Sweet. Antone, hey, Antone. Antone, I'm not going to be able to get to you today. It is too late. So sorry. Red Thread, I did you already. ERT Radio says, I don't have any earned income. And see, I don't know if Social Security counts as earned income. Okay. And then Benita Bala, hi, new here. Number 2, would love a reading. Benita, it is time for me to sign out. I would love for you to come back next week. Please come a little earlier because it just books up solid really fast. And then Ashley says, okay, sounds good. And I just felt like reading for some reason. So I went on a search and you popped up first. So I felt drawn to it. Well, I'm glad that you came and got a reading, and I hope you come back. And then she says, thank you. All right. Red Thread says, thank you for the reading. You're so welcome. And then Master Player says, for new subscribers, don't be upset if she picks a random number and it's just not the number you requested. And the only reason I pick a number, especially if you're a new person, is that the text gets so backed up, so like I think it was Red Thread where her thing was, I want number 3, but I did multiple readings between Red Thread's reading and the time I saw the number 3. So just be happy I don't blow you off for not giving me a number, so I'm really trying to be respectful. So. Also, great show and great hair. Thank you, Master Player. Dr. Rita, again, thank you. See you next week. Okay. And then Kirsten says, beautiful cards. So, Kirsten, they're called dream cards, and they were originally designed for dream interpretation. Okay, great show. All right, you guys. It is time. So, it is time for me to go. Again, this show is brought to you by soulhealer.com. So if there's things going on in your life and you need a deeper dive into what we talked about today, please reach out to me at soulhealer.com and we can set up a time for a private consultation. And too many buttons. Anyway, so guys, that's the end of the show today. Thank you all for tuning in. And till next week, y'all be blessed. Bye-bye.